Nuh-uh.
The fuck you mean, nah?
What's up, you guys, and welcome to Sith Happens, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Eric the Dadalorian, and thank you guys for joining us for another episode. Now, I'm joined by the scruffiest of the nerf herders, one of my best friends in the world, and I love him like an Ewok loves to eat stormtroopers. It's my best friend, Matty Ice. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. Hello, you mother-loving Minox. We got quite the show for you today. We got friends on. We got so much news to talk about. I feel like our content wrote itself this go-around, so very, very excited to get to a galaxy far, far away and talk about it.
No lie, it definitely did. But we are joined by a couple of other great friends of ours, so we got to introduce them before we get any further. We are joined by Roberto and Dan, but you probably know them better from one of the greatest Star Wars pages there are on the internet. They run the Star Wars Toy Collector page on Instagram and Facebook. These guys are top-notch when it comes to getting you the news when it comes to deals and releases. How are we doing, guys?
We're doing well. Yeah. And
Hey,
very excited week.
Doing great. Exciting week.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I got to thank you guys when you posted up the Ahsoka and the HK Droid 2-pack. I had been like, I'm never getting that. And then when you guys put it up, I saw it was like $15.99. I was like, I'm on a little bit of a break from impulse buys, but that's got to happen. I don't really care about her, but for photos, that darker version of that droid is so much better than the one that was like literally looked like a Fisher-Price orangish red. So thank you for that. And that's living proof that everybody should be following you guys.
Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for.
Yes, and we're gonna make sure everybody does follow you. Getting close to the end of the end of the show here. But we have got a very, very busy podcast today. So in today's show, we actually got several things that we're covering. We had tons of reveals today from Hasbro Pulse. We have some news hitting regarding Star Wars, as well as that. We also got some movie re-releases, as well as some new shows coming out. So we're going to get into all of that here. And the first thing we are going to do is get right into some big news hitting the Star Wars world. Now, this is also live streaming, just obviously if you're watching us. So we encourage you guys, if you are watching this live stream, please get in the comments, chat with us, tell us what you think, give us your opinions and everything like that, and we'll actually go ahead and talk about it right here on the screen as well. So the first thing we're going to do is get into some of the big news here. So give me a second. Sorry, got to pull up what we were talking about here. But this is it. So Kathleen Kennedy retiring from Lucasfilms. Not something that I had really envisioned for Star Wars news this week. Guys, what about you?
Definitely not. It's funny, she's been doing this with Lucasfilm since, Raiders of the Lost Ark and before, and working with Spielberg, and, she's got this background, and I think, for me, I had never had hate for her, so it's a little bit sad that she's going to be, moving off. I wonder if it'll be like a Favreau-Filoni takeover, how that's going to look. But the one thing that kind of sucks about it is, whether you like all the content or not, I think the fan, toxicity reaction, where it's like a little bit more, well, good riddance, or like now they're going to fix it's like you guys are just going to hate whoever comes in anyway. Like when you, preach Favreau, you hated Book of Boba Fett. So that's a little bit of a bummer for me, but I'm thankful for all the content she gave us, even the stuff that might not have been my cup of tea, and excited kind of for the next part of the journey.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at too, man. So the way I look at this is, there is a lot of projects from Star Wars where I wasn't a fan of that she was involved with. And the thing is, though, is some of the best Star Wars we ever got, in my opinion, also came from her. And I'm not saying her directly, but with her leading Lucasfilms.
You would have Rogue One.
Yeah, we got Rogue One, Andor, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka. Obviously, these are all involved with other people, but with her leading Lucasfilms, I very, very much say this. We really, really got some of the best Star Wars there was, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean that she did not have to let Filoni, finish the Clone Wars. I know they use Mando as a little bit of a testing ground, but I think all of us, when Disney bought it and they cut it off, were pretty bummed we weren't going to get to kind of see the end of characters' stories and hope it was in other content. So just for that and that amazing gut punch of the last 4 episodes, she did her job for me beyond everything you mentioned that I love.
Yeah, honestly, that last season of Clone Wars alone is like one of the greatest things in Star Wars.
Yeah. For me, it was Rogue Squadron. I'm sorry,
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Well, hopefully
but at
that
the same
does come
time,
along.
I think about like all the good things we've had, and we've had some misses. It's hard to say like if that was because of her, in spite of her, what that was.
Yeah.
I take a step back and I think about sort of how Lucasfilm has been run and all the announcement that have been made and everything that we were told we were going to get and we didn't get.
Yeah.
And
it's fair.
I think,
difficulty at the top.
Yeah. And that's why Rogue Squadron is at the top for me, because if I think about my favorite part of Star Wars Legends, I mean, I grew up reading the Rogue Squadron books. I was really excited for Rogue Squadron. And I think it's just time for a change and for somebody to come in and become a leader. For sure. Leader to the people, leader to the creatives, leader to the execution. And, like any company, it's just Lucasfilm is ripe for somebody new at the top.
Yeah, for sure.
Undoubtedly, yeah. It's definitely time, and she has a lot of successors who can come in and really do amazing things. Like, she's had great projects done underneath her, but folks like Favreau, Filoni, like there's some people who could come in and really just skyrocket Lucasfilms, honestly.
I mean, and they know that there's that divisiveness. Like, you look at the Andor trailer that dropped this week, it's a pop song. Clearly somebody got the memo that some people thought it was slow, because I'm sure those are like the 3rd episode of each arc we're seeing something from. But like, they're showing you it's cool, there's action, we're kind of into the rollicking Rogue One phase. And a lot of that, look at the Thunderbolts trailer for Marvel, the way they're positioning that. I think Disney as a whole with these properties are trying to inject some new blood. And, understanding how we as a fan base can be, understanding the hits and misses, a little bit like, all right, let's get some new people or this is going to continue to be a thing. So I'm looking forward to that, but I think we're going to get more things in the tone of what we saw in Skeleton Crew and this Andor trailer that make people that are maybe not as excited right now, trying to get some other people into it that will pull them in.
I think one of the interesting themes to follow over the next couple months, maybe to the end of the year, will be, because her contract is coming up, right? And
that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Some folks probably have spotted the CNN article that essentially said this is all baloney, and Lucasfilm hasn't confirmed anything. My counter to that was, this is kind of what happened with the Acolyte. And we still have not officially, I think, received confirmation that the Acolyte is dead, but we all kind of know it's that.
Yeah, or
I mean,
Skeleton
I
Crew
thought we had actually received that confirmation, to tell you the truth.
I know Skeleton Crew not. Yeah. Sorry, go on,
but I'm going to say this, I'm not going to be surprised if Favreau or Filoni are not at the top. And they're amazing creatives, but I really think they need a people leader, a visionary that can not only take the creative side of the business, but actually lead the business side of the business.
Yeah, and I heard a rumor that Karen Feige might be in the running, to move over from Marvel over to Star Wars.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
I heard that as well, actually.
That's like not a bad. First of all, there's a lot of hate some Marvel stuff gets that I love, but that's with anything. I don't think that's a bad move, because he's a man with a plan either way, which we kind of need, and he's a nerd. But like, it's exactly what you were saying about somebody a little bit more of a head of the top. You need like a marketing Filoni. You know what I mean? Like a Filoni that's not so wolf t-shirt, cowboy hat. That's like, no. I love Ahsoka. I get the lore. I understand everything, but better storytelling would be this, or this will be more interesting. I'm like, I'm with you. You need somebody like a Feige to rein them in. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's just someone
absolutely.
who gets it because I think with Kathleen Kennedy, there was a lot of risks that were taking, that she took, and not all of them were great risks or things that bounced. But then there were things that she took a risk on, like that was, I don't know what I was watching, but I found that like she's the reason why we got those awesome dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
If anybody has Netflix, it's The Movies That Made Us. They explain
Yes.
how she discovered the CG on it. It is also, because we're talking Star Wars toys, the toys that made us, the Star Wars episode, and I may bring something up from that when we get on to our next topic, will blow your mind for Star Wars fans.
For sure. So, well, moving along here, we'll see what comes of that. But another thing that we had come up this week that I think absolutely just blew the world away was the trailer for Andor. And tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but it rocked my socks. And yeah, I am so stoked for season 2, honestly.
I'm most stoked it's 3 episodes a night when it comes on, because it's like, well, we got 4 Andor movies that we're getting 4 weeks in a row, which I'm pumped about. The thing I really loved about it was the TIE fighter on human violence. That was one. 2, I mean, like I said everything I said before. I don't need to reiterate it. And then this is such a dumb thing, but you all know how much I love blasters. I freeze framed the shot where like Andor's holding his rifle. I send it to Eric, and it's the Briar pistol from season 1, but in sniper configuration. And I'm really hoping we get a toy of Andor, because I think there's technically supposed to be one more other than the reveal today that's in like that sleek pimp jacket from the first poster. And with that like sniper configuration, I would be pumped.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll see more coming from those, aside from the one today, which we'll talk about.
It was definitely an exciting trailer, and I will say for me personally that it's the most exciting thing I've seen from Star Wars in a long time, just trailer-wise.
I went and took 3 pictures of Cassian Andor figures last night, meticulously for my next shameless plug 3 on Fridays through Rebel series. But yeah, I was jumping up and down, man. I was watching the first season before this.
Yeah, I just binged the first season too, like prepping for this to come out. And I think this came out like the day I finished it or something like that. And I was just like, I am so stoked. Like all the people we see coming back, like Melshi and everything. And honestly, it looks like season 1 on steroids, because season 1 was fantastic. Like some of the best Star Wars we ever got, in my opinion. And now we're seeing it season 2, and the trailer looks like this. Like I can't wait to see how this goes. And they said it's going to, like you already said, Matt, it's going to be 3 episodes for each viewing. So it's going to be like a movie every night. And then it's going to lead up straight to the, like where it would pick up at Rogue One, essentially. So this is going to knock people's socks off, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I want to hear from the SWTC guys, but just really quickly, because I desperately have wanted a Melshi figure forever, and I don't want him in an Arkina costume. So this may get one of my top figures on my wish list. I'll let you boys go.
No, it looked really good, yeah. And I really am interested in seeing what other figures that they come. I do wish they would give us, a lot more variety of some of the different characters, because that's the good thing about like with season 1, like there was so much more world building that you didn't really see in a lot of other things. Kind of like that level of detail that we started to get with season 1, and season 2 of Mandalorian. The little details in the background and.
Yeah, other than Coruscant, all new planets, which was great. The single biome planets that we keep going back to are awesome, but just that variety, is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're going to talk about this soon, but I think Hasbro just hasn't figured out how to make how to make money off of background characters or even supporting characters.
Yeah.
And you think back to when we were all growing up, you get 30, 40 figures in a wave. I don't know if we'll ever get back to that. I think there's a lot of innovation that needs to happen within production, and the entire sort of value stream of the product, to get the economics to a place where they can reduce the amount of figures that they produce, but still make it worth their while.
Yeah,
and
it's almost
that
like
almost gets into like HasLab territory.
Yeah, or like how do you short pack certain things? Like
Yeah.
you'll see on my collector's corner, I got a figure for like nothing that I like kit bashed. So I could have a background character for my photos. That's funny you brought that up, but yeah, I mean, even some main characters. Like if you go look, right now the market feels really soft anyway. But if you go look, it's like not hard to acquire them within $10 of retail in either direction or retail.
Definitely, man. So, but yeah, I'll tell you what, if Steve Evans is watching, we got 4 experts here who would love to partake. So by all means, hit us up.
Yeah, I don't know. Supply chain's going to be tough for me, Daniel. I think you're better at that, but I'm happy to be an idea guy.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think there's innovative solutions for this.
Yeah.
We got to keep talking about it and help Hasbro, and really not just Hasbro, but Lego and Funko and all the companies that everyone that collects from. We got to help them along and think differently.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think one of the things that when I always reminisce, about the good old days is, I mean, I was a kid collecting all these, but sometimes there was also a grown man, also buying there. I got one I went to a convention and got a figure there, one time. And, 10 years old, my father gave me, hey, go haggle with this guy. And I think you knew that, like, with the fact that things are, skyrocketing in price, you're trying to keep them involved, like I have all my, 3 3/4 figures. They're still in my folks' house. I'm waiting till my kids get a little bit older. I have 4 boys,
cool.
so they're, ready to play with things like that. But do I buy the new vintage collection thing? Get like 1 or 2 a hand. Especially if they're on sale. But even then, like, if I want to buy something, I want to buy like, hey, here's the whole set of Bad Batch. I'm going to buy it now. When you guys are old enough, here you go. Go play with them.
Eric,
So,
I think
I
we've
know-
just moved into our next topic.
That's what I was about to say. So we're going to move into that right now. I will say the only thing I hate about the big packs like that is just like, I like peace of mind little by little as far as a financial standpoint. But speaking of finances, that actually does bring us into our next piece of it that we talked about, which Dan, Roberto, this is something you guys had brought up a couple of days ago, I think. So why don't you get into this for us?
Yeah, so Hasbro released earnings a couple days ago, and had some free time, so I literally poured through every single word that they released, and there were a few surprises for me. But the big one was that they announced that they are investing in I think 6 to 8 brands, and notably missing among those 6 to 8 brands was Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
The
quickly
question
wanted
for
to.
me was immediately, well, what the heck does that mean? Like, is Star Wars dead for Hasbro? And I think the answer to that is no. Especially based on what we saw, today for new announcements and whatnot, and what they teased. But there's no disproportionate investment in Star Wars, and it's such a big brand. Meanwhile, G.I. Joe and Marvel's a licensed brand like Star Wars, where licensing fees got to be nearly as high, if not the same. So interesting to see what's going on there. And, we asked them for comments. We got nothing back, which is not a surprise. But leaves a lot of room for speculation.
Yeah, I 2
it's-
things.
Go ahead, man.
So the first one, for context for everybody listening, I said I'd get into this from the Toys That Made Us. The history of the Star Wars line with Hasbro. Originally the Kenner line, before Hasbro obviously absorbed them. When the line was licensed, it was wildly unfavorable to Lucasfilm. When Hasbro absorbed Kenner, there was a contract that just had to be signed once a year in perpetuity that guaranteed that licensing rate. One lawyer was like, why are we doing this? We're not making Star Wars toys. So they lost the license to make them. Coming out of that, Star Wars started to have a huge uptick. We all talk about Dark Empire. We talk about, so they wanted the license back, and they were willing to create a less favorable agreement for revenue share with Lucasfilm. I think that obviously we talked about how many figures were in waves. That suited them very well because action figures were still huge in the mid 90s. So it was a lot easier to make a profit off it. And as years have gone on, the, it's gotten less. Even the G.I. Joe line, you look at how many leftover figures there are from that when you follow any of the other pages. But what I was also going to say, and then I'll kick it to everybody else. In New Jersey, last week, I didn't get to go. My friend got to go. Mr. Steve Evans, was in a comic store doing like a Q&A. One of my buddies went. I'm so mad because he only collects TVC. So I would want to talk Black Series. I unfortunately couldn't go as the whole thing. I was devastated. But they talked a lot about what his vision is for what's coming up. And he did mention a more meaningful approach to everything. And with TVC, his big thing that I thought was really interesting was no more pipeline reveals. Because if you think about the last couple of fan streams, a lot of us are like, all right, like I knew this was coming. So he's like, if something's going to leak, let it leak, but let people hope the leak is what gets announced. Don't try to preempt it like they were doing. So just that commentary in and of itself, like Daniel, you were saying, it's not going away. I just think the way it's delivered, the amount that we get, how choiceful the character selections are going to change. I mean, there's been so many factory leaks, and they better not cancel this line before I get that A New Hope Han Solo, whose torso was leaked. But yeah, I don't think it's going away.
Lots
I think
of
there's
leaks
plans.
recently.
I just think it's, so many. Shout out to Luke Ness Monster if anybody also wants to check his page. He has, I think it's like every 8 hours he drops a leak. But yeah, I don't think it's going away. I think it's going to change how it looks. I think it's going to be, I think you're going to have figures like the, background characters. If you remember from other lines from when we were kids, like a background character was borderline a chase figure. Like it was 1-2 a case or one every other case. So it's going to make them harder to acquire, which is unfortunate for photographers that want to kit bash, but a little easier on their wallet.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, Dan, I know that you also had something that you wanted to share. Now, I unfortunately am having some issues opening it up. So if you can actually open the screen and share it.
God, it's like
All
being
right,
on
sweet.
Teams, but at night.
Let's see if this will work.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. It's like, at least nobody's like, you're on mute, which is like the other great conference call maneuver. Like,
Yeah,
can
every
everybody see my
conference call
screen?
I've
Can everybody
ever
see
been
my
on.
screen?
So just a few sound bites I wanted to share that I picked up. Interestingly enough, Hasbro continues to struggle just overall. But despite the fact that they had decreased revenue, stock was actually up. So they beat the market. I noticed a couple times that they referenced Star Wars, and their consumer products line, which includes a licensed brand, is actually kind of started growing, with the exception of Nerf and Star Wars. And as you think about just the sheer amount of Star Wars that continues to hit clearance, it feels like there's still an overproduction issue. But I think they're starting to get their hands on it based on a lot of the in-depth inventory information that they provided. And then they also just, like, we just haven't gotten a lot of new Star Wars like we've gotten in, Marvel. And so that's also leading to a wane in interest.
Yeah, but I think Mando
which
coming out will help.
fails.
Mando's going to have a huge merch push, so I think that's going to help a lot too.
And what's something I'm thinking of too with that as well is with the Mando coming out, is it going to get its own, like the mural line? Is it going to get its own mural line because it's a movie now, or is it going to stick with the Mandalorian line? Because that's my biggest collection out of all of them. Actually, is my Mandalorian stuff.
I wonder, it's like, when the Rogue One came out and they had the 5 POA figures and they all just got Rogue One packaging. It would be really funny if there was like a wave that was just like Mando movie themed packaging. Because that at some point that'd be worth a fortune because it's only going to be one wave. But yeah.
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 And we already touched on this, so I just wanted to flash this. But this is what Hasbro calls their growth brands, where they're, as they quote, are investing disproportionate human and capital investment to fuel growth. And again, Star Wars isn't on here.
And I think it kind of goes down to like the fact that, you know, when you see like a new MCU thing, there's like the role play, there's, you know, the toys for the kids, you know, the 3-inch or 4-inch line for the kids. There's the Marvel Legends, and they all come out around the time. And I kind of think about like the few times I've seen a display, like when Ahsoka, you know, happened, the end caps were empty. They had a few of the role play items, and there was nothing really for the kids. There was nothing for that. And I kind of think Hasbro partially has an issue figuring out who they're trying to market to, because there's the collector who are very opinionated and they want things, and then there's the kids. But you kind of need the kids because they grow up into collectors. And I think since I've been in the 7 years, my oldest 2 are 7, and I've been trying to find stuff for them, there have been several different kids line, and they've been all over the place. You've had the Galaxy of Adventures figures that kind of started with the sequel trilogies. The last one was they did one for Mando. You had the Little Mission Fleet guys, which I hated as a parent. They fell apart. Lots of little pieces.
No lie, I got a couple for my kids too.
Yeah.
By the way, Galaxy of Adventures, that series, if you can, it's all over YouTube. Like if I had kids, that's how I'd introduce them to Star Wars. It's just such an easy, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
The thing with it is there's stuff out there for like every age right now, because my kids were watching that Young Jedi Knight Adventures too.
Oh yeah, we love it. We have the whole set. We have the Jedi Temple from that. You know, and those figures I actually thought were really good. Like they were high quality. They, you know, they didn't fall apart. They didn't break easily. And
they were good for the age too.
Yeah, very good for the age. Take a beating.
And they're bringing it into canon. Keller and Beck was in Mando season 3, like from you know, like Jedi Temple. The guts are you know, from like the Nickelodeon era version of Star Wars. But yeah, or Double Dare. But if anybody's fucking old like me, so yeah, like it's coming into canon. So hopefully that creates a bridge for these kids to really, you know, and that's a part of trying to go outside the brand in general with the way they're positioning, you know, trailers and things.
So I'm gonna step outside my comfort zone. I'll share a little bit something. So when I'm not collecting Star Wars, I work in brand partnerships, and so like I see a lot what works, what doesn't. In a matter of fashion across many different industries, I see end to end how the sausage is made, and I think one thing that I will say that over the last 7 years, I felt like Star Wars at Hasbro has lacked a brand identity.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since Mr. Stevie left. Also, Daniel, I'll step out of my comfort zone. I am a media strategy and brand strategy person.
There you go.
Yeah, we never talked about this. Oh, in the spirit of teams, we'll take this offline, but that's really funny.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm first and foremost a podcast host, but yeah, we'll talk about it. That's really funny. We should definitely talk about it.
Trying to get this to work so we can quit our day jobs, guys.
There you go. Still a ways off.
Yeah, a little bit. But
I feel like I need to launch a Star Wars OnlyFans.
Wait,
only Mandos.
The Sith Happens content universe is on the horizon at some point.
It's broadening.
One day. But segueing into some good news, we had some absolutely baller drops from Hasbro Pulse today, and I am so ready to get into these. So we had TVC Black Series and some Black Series helmets. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and rock right into this with the TVC off the get-go, because I know I'm like the one who collects a lot of those. Matt, I know you're not much into those.
I can talk
personally. Yes. And honestly, I'm excited to talk about this one, first one particularly. It's the Imperial Armored Commando. Now, I love what they did with this in TVC versus the Black Series one, because the TVC comes with all the toys for this.
Dude, I'm so
the shield. Mad. I know, me too. The shield, the baton, both blasters, and knife. Like, this came with all the stuff that I wanted the Black Series one to come with. And, you know, I don't use TVC for photos like I use just Black Series like you now, Matt. So I'm a little bummed about that. But in the TVC line, TVC line, sorry, I can't talk today. I am stoked. This is going to look so good on my TVC collection, to be honest with you.
I it's so funny because I'm for photos, so it's always been Black Series. That's what I started collecting when I got back in. But every time I see that you TVC guys get the weapons and the you got the howlers from Ahsoka, it's like anyway, like I would have bought 3 of this if for my pictures. If,
it would have been such a good Black Series one.
Only bought 2.
Even if
Sometimes
this is
I
a
feel like
deluxe, I would have got it.
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like the I don't know if you guys agree with this, but just the detail relative to the scale on TVC is just a whole nother level.
I've noticed
Sometimes
that.
against the series.
I do and I don't. I think there's like detail things, yes, but then there's elements, even if I was just displaying with the posability, articulation, and ability to like achieve moves and the size of the weapons from a scale standpoint that are different. So it's like a trade-off, right? You get the more detail and the smaller figure with more stuff, but there's also, depending on your use for the toy, like that to me almost becomes like the primary factor before aesthetic. But I do agree that in some ways it's for the scale much better.
Yeah. I have noticed they have been keeping a little bit more articulation. Because I've noticed this guy has his thigh swivel, whereas the Black Series version does not. And I think the same thing happened with Ahsoka and Master Dara. Both of them, the TVC had like the fully articulated legs.
Yeah, that is frustrating. That's one thing I will say for when it comes to posability. Like trying to stand figures up lately is a nightmare in and of itself.
Can we pivot real quick and just like talk about one thing and tie it back to Hasbro's earnings? The price on this thing, $24.99. That is a Black Series figure. But as
Is
I think
that the
about
price on this one?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
And
I didn't even notice that.
Right. And you got the presser before me.
I didn't look at the price on this one, but I'm looking at it now, and yeah, that is one of the more expensive TVCs I've seen.
I think like long term, one of the things I worry about, and there's a whole nother conversation we can have just about what tariffs will do to collecting.
We're already went negative with the previous one.
I am worried about affordability, and it starts with the TVC line, right? Because the Black Series has always been more expensive. The figures coming out are, I would say, in my opinion, across both lines are generally getting better. You know, particularly with Steve at the helm, things are improving. Not everyone's a hit, but you know, I think the quality is improving. But man, that price for something that's so desirable, at some point you're going to start to price lower cost collectors out of the market, or they're just going to wait for the sale.
Yeah,
like at this point,
and they've already gone up in price too. Like a lot of them had gone up, even like the standard ones had gone up to like $16.99, which is, you know, it's not crazy higher than what they typically were. But still, if it just keeps going up and up, like you said, just the affordability on this, it's highly in question, honestly.
Oh, it is. And a lot of the deluxe for the TVC have gone to clearance. I think it's really, I think the only two that I don't think I really have seen clearance is Zeb and Jango Fett that were deluxe.
Oh yeah. That's what gets back down to what we're all talking about.
Chrysanthemum was all over Ollie's.
Yeah. I think
that gets into less product, right? They're going to make less product, which you know what? I don't mind having to go on the hunt or freak out about pre-orders a little more anymore, make it a little more exciting. But yeah.
But it's already builder and
for sure. I mean, it's going to kill me on troop building. It's a lot of that. Yeah.
Well, now I could see. Go ahead, Dan.
Just for context, like the price of the Black Series since it launched has gone up 25%. Anyone want to take a gander at what the price of the Vintage Collection has gone up since it relaunched? Vintage Collection 2.0. It's gone up 31%. So
oh wow,
oh man,
it's a little disproportionate. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
This is a great figure. I'm gonna pick it up, but I am worried about the survivability of this line at these prices.
Yeah.
I think a lot of big collectors are at this point, but we're gonna stay in the positive, as you said. And we'll move on to the next one, because this thing is, we talked it to death, and it does look sick. We got, I always butcher his name, Moma Nadon.
Moma.
I butcher its name every single time. A TVC that I wasn't one that I was like, yeah, I need that or anything, but it's pretty cool, and it comes with a lot of stuff actually, so it's actually really cool.
I love the Black Series version. I'm so jealous. I'm going to go in storage and get that second non-Imperial blaster, the non-E11. I need to go get that out of storage for my Power of the Force one, because I didn't even think to do that, and I hate... the Black Series figure is awesome, but I did not like the accessories. So yeah, you guys got them again. TVC really kicked my butt in versions of things I want.
And it's funny because, like, I know I'm the TVC guy out of me and you, but I don't even open them. Like, I keep these things in the box, just like, or in the card, because I just like the way they look on there, like the photos on it and everything. It just looks really great displayed. So I don't even open these. So all the accessories is cool, but not
It's
even
my dream is wasted on you, is the moral of the story.
I guess so, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, it does look really, really sick. I'm excited to see it, come out, and like, you could see some of these close-ups. The detail has gotten, like you said earlier, detail on these TVCs is so good now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are excited for him. Get him into the Cantina, another background character.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, he comes with lots of stuff. Looks really, really, really great. Next one, we got Honda Baba, and this one I'm actually excited about, because you have his amputation with you this time. So let me see if I can get one of those photos up. So if you can see it in this one, he actually has the detachable arm from when Kenobi gets him there. And that one, that's the money shot right there, so to say. So, yeah, I think this is going to be, especially if you have the Cantina TVC, this is freaking perfect, honestly. Yeah. Like, if you got the Cantina TVC, this is an absolute money one for you.
Yeah, no, it's a great figure. I think it's a good call out that a lot of people are going to have fun with the figure. The way it's been built out, but also it's been redone so many times already.
It has. That was going to be my follow up. So
yeah,
but
yeah.
Everyone remember that there was a Black Series 3 3/4 inch line?
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
And this Honda, I've seen at Ollie's a few times.
Yeah, you're still showing up at Ollie's now and then. So
yeah,
anyway,
I've seen a few at Ollie's. I can't remember which ones they are though.
Wait, Daniel, you know why I know there's a Black Series 4-inch line? Because when I first started collecting and did not know a lot about what was going on, do you know how many figures I thought were like 6-inch Black Series at a good price, and they'd be arrived, and I'd be like, wait, what?
Not quite. Well, anyways, that's all the stuff it comes with. Got the blaster, the removable arm. It looks really sick, honestly. Great for if you got the TVC Cantina, honestly.
I love how they're adding more cups. Like, as we're not getting enough in the Cantina, so here's one more, guys.
Can somebody just
really
have
cool,
a figure
honestly.
that comes with a crate? Just a crate would be awesome.
Oh my god, dude! I've been looking those up on eBay for my photos, actually. So
I gotta hook up for you. I'll introduce you to my boy Lone Wolf Labs. He prints them pretty cheap and shit. So yeah,
we'll talk about that one. So.
Yeah.
And I think that does it for our TVC line. So let me stop the share right there. Overall, TVCs for the Hasbro Pulse today, really, really great, and I was super excited about the releases of them.
Yeah, I'll call out one thing real quick. I noticed in the comments I was watching the live stream how TVC folks were upset that Black Series got more releases again. I think they're
It
trying
always
to really
does.
balance it out now.
Yeah.
Like, if you remember the last
Yeah, it was last
stream,
stream.
it was virtually all TVC. I think Black Series only had 2 announcements, maybe 3.
I think so,
if I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
Now that I'm
So
thinking about it,
hopefully
yeah.
we see more of that. Hopefully TVC gets more love going forward.
Yeah. And you guys win in articulation and accessories, so we can try to split the difference when we can.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, talking of that, we are going to be moving into Black Series, which is what we're going to do now. And this one I am so stoked to talk about. So this is going to be Black Series 6-inch as well as helmets. And let's go ahead and share the screen right now.
Yes!
I knew you were going to be stoked for this. So this is the Cassian Andor Sinar test pilot. This has to be one of the sickest looking Black Series in the last couple of years, in my opinion.
I think it's
looks
all new,
so
all
good.
new parts, right? It's a totally newly tooled figure. They said it's a different head, but it looks like they mashed up the hair. But I am so stoked. Sorry, I'm talking fast. Like they said there's potentially one more Andor version for this wave too, which gets me even more excited. I have lots of speculatory thoughts. I'm going to buy 2 of this because I can make them troop build with the figure also. Like, this is just...
That's my thought, too.
I won't belabor it. Like, as a man who needs to, like, hold a toy underneath my computer, like I am holding my Cassian Andor figure right now. So, needless to say, I'm very excited.
Yeah. And it looks awesome, dude. Like, and there, you get a little bit better view of the face.
I'm really looking forward to this story arc. And I think I've got an old First Order TIE Fighter Black Series somewhere in the garage. I might have to break that out, repaint it, and just have some fun with this. Like, this is an awesome new TIE Pilot figure. Like, even even with the helmet on, like, that helmet looks sick, guys.
Yeah, the helmet looks sick, and I love the orange and the red, like the orange and red clash on top. Like, it just looks nice.
One of my buddies who customizes, like, he's the only person I've ever met that any figure he opens goes, I could make this better, and then does it. He was like, I'm buying 3 of these, and I'm going to make my own Inferno Squad out of them.
Oh, that's
I was like,
idea.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
I just looks top notch, honestly. But and yeah, it looks like the posability on this is going to be really great too, honestly.
Yeah.
So that new mold we were talking about. But moving into the next piece, this is my territory, the helmets, and totally a repaint, which I'm going to tell you straight off the get-go. But I am so stoked that we're getting a 501st Legion Black Series helmet in finally. The 332nd Ahsoka Trooper ones, I liked it. It was really cool. But I think the 501st is like one of the most iconic clone helmets you're going to get from Star Wars, honestly. And this actually is going to be in the Ahsoka line, which I figured they would just kind of release this as like a Revenge of the Sith anniversary one, which is coming up, by the way. But it looks awesome, and it has like a lot of like, it's not like the other ones where it's like super clean, shiny, as they would say. You know, this one's got markups. This one's got really good detail to it.
I mean, not everybody repaints helmets. So, you know, to say it's a repaint, I get it. But, like, there's fans who, like, you know me, I don't paint figures even when I kit bash. So, like, when there's a clone that's the same body but a new paint job, I'm stoked. You know what I mean? And the same goes for, like, stormtroopers and things.
I know there's going to be a lot of demand. People have been asking for it. I think, you know, if you're a collector of helmets, you knew this was going to come at one point or another. I got to ask, though, and I wonder when we'll see it in person. Color. I'm just not sure about it. Like,
they did that on the last
the
501st
render
figure.
looks a little off. Look, slightly tealish.
That was the last 501st Black Series
lighter,
figure
but
had that color.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit lighter, but I think it'll match up pretty nicely, to tell you the truth. You know, out of all the helmets I've had, the colors have been pretty spot on. Like, when you get it in person, like, this could be just like a photo makes it look that way type of thing, but, you know, won't know until we get it in hand.
Also, the difference between, like, what was actually screen used and Hasbro sees versus what you see that's edited on the screen. Because I know a lot of people in the, like, Death Watch Mandalorian armoring building complained about Death Watch helmet. Oh, it's too light. It's not the right blue.
Yeah.
Then you almost wonder, like, well, did they see something different? Did they get something different? And things just look different on your TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and but I think also the live action versus, animated, like, let's be totally honest, like, it's going to be different, right? It's the interpretation of a
Obviously.
live action director. I'm going to go back and watch that scene at the beginning of Obi-Wan, because that'll be an easy way to kind of tell.
Yeah, for sure. And just some really quick breaking news on this one. So this is a GameStop exclusive. Apparently, it will be available for order on May 4th, or actually in stock on May 4th. So
Nice.
Oh, sick.
should
Okay.
be
So
really
yeah, that's right.
exciting,
There
and
was no pre-order on this one. I forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah, we
And
also-
funny enough, the page on GameStop's website is up.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So,
cool.
okay.
We'll be watching that one just in case they let it go up early, but some info on when we might see this one in hand.
Cool.
Well, we will keep an eye out. But moving right along now, we are going to go into. Sorry, just a couple more pictures of it. This guy, another one
Yes.
that I was so stoked for is the Dark Trooper armor Moff Gideon, and dude, firstly, the face mold is so good. It looks it looks immaculately like Giancarlo Esposito. Like, it looks just like him. And then the armor itself, it just looks so good in Black Series. Like, look at that. And I love all the stuff it comes with too, because it's got his electro staff, and it also has the blaster in there. And I'm
the retracted
very impressed.
electro staff. And the retracted electro staff. I just feel like,
Yep.
I know we're going long on each figure, so I'll just say I had a lot of hype in my brain for this figure, and it exceeded the hype when I saw it. Even the armor on the thigh, the whole thing is just a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
You
It
know how we
looks
got
great.
the carbonized series, and what they try to do with that? Well, I see hints of that here, and I think
Yeah.
it's actually executed really well.
I agree.
And I will say, like, reading all the comments after this was revealed, this, out of everything that was announced today, this is the most anticipated item. And I think they crushed it. Looking forward to getting it in hand. And Roberto, it's too bad we probably won't have this in hand when he's actually in town near you.
Oh,
in a
yes,
couple
I know.
months.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would have been sick.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
I'm grateful that this is a regular priced release and not a deluxe. Could have
Yeah,
teased me.
actually, yeah, that is surprising with the amount of stuff and the paint detail. I mean, I would rather they just tell me that, like, they want to, rob us because it's like a popular character, like the Mandalorian throne room Boba Fett, like premium paint. I had to paint the blaster nozzles on his shin guards. It was like, what?
And so I like too that it's got the cloth cape on him. I'm very like, ever since I started doing the toy photography, that is like such a huge thing for me, and I love that about this. And this is going to be, Matt, for you and I, this is going to be a very good one to photograph.
An overused figure. And honestly, like, I love the cape, but there's also going to come a point where somebody like Josh's custom capes gets a wired one going, and like those are, he's not, the craftsmanship is there for the price. But if people go to my page and look at my photos, I use those wired capes a lot, and they are excellent for photos.
Mhm, I use
Yeah,
them
I
as
was.
well.
You stole it right out of my mouth. I was just gonna say the cape looks great. It's awesome that we're getting one, but man, I'd love to get a wired cape.
Yeah.
On this guy.
Well, moving into the next ones that go right in line with this, just looks so sick, honestly.
Yeah,
could
I
just
don't
look
go
at
through. I'm like,
shots of this
take your
all day.
time on this, the move through, bro. It's not like I looked at it 1,000 times on Yak Face.
Yeah. Give me a second here.
The posability looks really great too.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
Sorry about
And I mean,
that,
the
guys.
next
One
one,
of
the next
One
one
of the things I missed
automatically.
about the holiday figures is how much fun they had with the posing.
Yeah,
I feel like we as collectors need to revive that. Just like, I don't know, I'm almost thinking we need to do funniest pose with your action figure contest or something like that.
yeah, I'm into that.
All right. So
That
sorry
was,
about that, guys. I
That's
had
coming from the holiday line was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right,
And
now
there are
the
figures like
one
that,
to
that have really good articulation. You can go nuts with on that. Sorry, go on, Eric. My bad.
No, you're good. I was gonna say sorry. I had put this in a different file, but this goes right along with them, and it is our Praetorian Guard. And
I
let
just
me just
wanted
say,
the third weapon.
That's what I was
Sorry,
gonna
go.
say. I'm stoked that we get multiple weapons out of this, aside from it just getting the one. But I love that it at least includes the big scythe or whatever you would call that thing, and the electro whip, because they both look really sick. I just wish there was like some purple on it. Is my only gripe with these.
Agreed. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm automatically buying two. That's just what they did to me here.
100%.
But yeah, maybe not a third if I can't get the third guy's weapon. But yeah,
We might be able to like get some of those first order Praetorian Guard weapons. And,
That's what I thought.
Oh yeah,
kit
great
bash
call.
some of our own figures. Like I've got a whole tray of them laying in the back that I was messing around with years ago, and probably a ton of
Nice.
weapons from those. So might be buying more than two.
Yeah, I mean that's look at, and again,
I wonder if they're
posability.
gonna
This
do-
figure looks great.
Like
and
what
more
they did with
and more cloth on it.
Yep. The first order Praetorian Guard. I think one of them they released with one of the other weapons as like a con exclusive.
Oh yeah, I think
So I wonder if we might be
Probably-
getting the third another version in the future. With
Oh, yeah,
that
I mean, if they want to they want to hostage pack this to something, I'm down to do it. I don't really care for that third weapon.
Roberto, that one came with a lot of accessories, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
remember it. Yeah,
Yeah, this thing looks super awesome.
I mean that's
Honestly,
epic. That shot.
That is epic. Like, this is gonna make, if you get this in the Gideon, this is gonna make for some really epic photos. Honestly, like they're gonna be really, really, really nice. So
Yeah, it's just an intimidating looking figure.
absolutely. And moving into our final regular Black series, I'm gonna go ahead and pull her up right now. Give me a quick second here. My computer is going a little bit slow on me. But we got another Andor, and it is Director Krennic. I'm actually stoked for this one. I have a few gripes that I'll say off the beginning, but I'm excited that we're getting this in the Andor line. I can't remember the actor's name to save the life of me, but he
Ben
is
Mendelsohn.
actually, yes. He's a fantastic actor. Absolutely crushed Krennic, and I'm really excited that we get him in this upcoming season of Andor as well. And getting this new update in the Black Series line, which his face looks much better. I just wish that cloth was cape, or that cloth was cape was cloth.
cape
That's
was
what I'm
cloth.
trying to say. There you go.
You know
Cape
what?
was cloth.
It's just I'm excited for those that didn't get this figure. I always am when it's a re-release. This to me is like an archive line level Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith level shit the bed. Like candidly, like the only updating the face here is silly. When they did that with, Archive Collection with Obi-Wan, there were plenty of better heads to pick from and they didn't adjust it well enough. Like, I am so excited for people that don't have this figure. For me, it not being a new sculpt, maybe someday when I want to treat myself, I'll get this if it's on, sale. But keep me updated on that, boys. But if it's on sale, but it's just disappointed. The old articulation, and that's like really old articulation, is like
yeah, it is.
I wonder how well, because I know a lot of people I've seen in custom groups used the Ben Mendelsohn head from the Marvel Legends.
yeah.
Made it. So you have a lot of people
Oh,
probably
yeah.
bought this on clearance, bought the other figure on clearance, bashed it, so you'll probably get some new fans from the show, but yeah.
I'm gonna make two comments about this figure. One, when we had that conversation about branding, I think out of everything that they released, this was the biggest miss. Like, read the room, look back at your sales numbers.
Yeah.
And then the second, I'll just call it, this is going to be a sub $10 figure.
Yeah. Like I said,
if you don't
keep
need
me
it,
posted.
wait.
Go to your page every day. If one of you wants to drop in our DM thread, whatever, but let me know.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the Rogue One version of this, and I can't remember if it was released once or twice. I think it was released twice, but gosh, we've
Yeah, I
had so
think
many
so, too.
figures I've lost count. Like this was a $5 clearance bin pickup.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I love the new face sculpt, but I wonder if they could have done something different and not cause them some self-inflicted pain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it. I don't have that one, so I'm gonna be excited to get that one personally. But we got some more Black Series to talk, guys, and this goes right in line with the Revenge of the Sith anniversary coming up, and I am super stoked. We got 3 blister packs to talk about here, which is first one starting is our boy Dooku. And I'm actually stoked. It's got the 2 different sabers, so it's got the one that looks like the motions happening and everything. Very excited about that.
I mean, I own this figure, so packaging for me, no, but I can tell everybody that wants to hear it. I'm sure some of you guys own them on here too. It is a great figure from some of the like middle years of the Black Series line. I don't even think they updated the face. Like the face on my figure is phenomenal. Like it was an A+ figure that I think was harder to get when it came out. So I'm stoked for everybody that's getting it, now.
And the articulation was good. I actually have the shelf over there. I can pull it, but it was a more modern articulation.
Yeah,
which was nice.
It looks amazing, honestly. Like I don't know if there really was much update to it or anything. It just looks great though. And honestly, really, as you guys know, I'm big into the
No, you're good. We're still seeing
watching it
everything.
move.
So
yep.
I was just, I remember when I first saw this today, I was like, okay, well, it's a straight re-release. The packaging is cool. You can still pick up this figure for $15. Man, I was wrong. This is not a $15 figure anymore.
Yeah, it was harder to get, right?
It's harder to get. And so I'm actually excited that
I got kicked out for a second.
This.
Oh, we were saying that it's a harder to get figure. That Daniel just looked it up. Like I thought so. Like it's funny. There's some figures I have that I think are still harder to get. And like when I did my big move, a bunch of the lightsabers, like some of the bags were open, like fell to the bottom, and like I had to like replace some figures that were cheaper that like where the blade snapped. That's one of the figures that I was like, oh my god, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, and I lucked out.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, this was one of the first figures that had the printed face, and so they knocked it out of the park. I'm looking at shots from the original release, and it looks like maybe they updated the coloring a little bit, but I don't think they updated the face. And frankly, they didn't need to. It looks awesome.
Yeah. For those listening, Roberto's showing the figure on the screen. It is really cool.
Yeah. Anyways, so we'll move into the next one here because we got another one that I was equally excited about. Moving into that screen now. And it is our favorite tentacled boy, Kit Fisto. Another one I don't have, and the Revenge of the Sith packaging, I like this. Brings me right back to 2005 when this was released and stores were just filled with these things. Really excited about this one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I have the figure. I'll let everybody else. I'm if you didn't get it, awesome. I'm happy again. But one thing I'll say is this is the beginning, and it's always been this way with a lot of the Jedi, master figures. It's very hard to get them to two-hand a saber or pose them in a way. So I find a lot of these guys to be like display pieces. It's an awesome figure. It looks beautiful in hand. I love the way the lightsaber is a little greener than usual in these photos. I don't know if that's just lighting or the way they rendered him in the package, but it's an awesome figure. For me, I own one. It's like, I guess my caution is if you're going to buy this to take photos, what you can do in the photo is limited from an arm standpoint.
Yeah, that's why I say that's one of the things I think I liked about the Acolyte Jedi. Like you can actually two-handed, and I wish like they would update some of these Jedi because I think the episode 1 3-pack, like, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have the limited posability, and it's just like,
I got them behind me, and you get that maul with it too that has such fantastic posability that you're kind of like, come on, guys. But at the same time, it's probably why it was an affordable 3-pack. So, who am I to complain?
I think this is another great re-release. Also a figure that was never easy to hide or find. I am looking at like renders from the original and the one I have on the wall here. I think this might have a darker wash.
I think
so too.
It looks like it's much more detailed and updated, honestly.
Yeah, there we go. Again, Roberto coming in clutch, showing us his
there we go.
figure. Yeah, I think that the old figure is a little more accurate, actually. So I'm kind of into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
Yeah, I do wish all the Jedi came with robes. Like that's kind of the
Yeah.
one thing with a lot of
Yeah.
Jedi.
that's something I like that they started
with
doing.
speaking
I
of
think they're
robes,
trying to have these be how they were in 2005. I don't know if they had the robes back then because I really wasn't collecting them like back then, honestly. But this, I'm curious. I know one thing with this that I'm really curious is to see how easy it is to move his body around with tentacles on it and everything like that. Like, is it going to cause a...
Oh, it's hard.
Okay, so that's I'm curious.
hard.
Well, I'm curious with this
Yeah,
new
it's not
one
great.
if they changed it to where like it makes it much more posable in that sense, where they're like almost like a softer plastic type of thing.
Yeah. I was going to say what I like that they did with the Acolyte robes is the hoods were sewn down, because I think my biggest problem with them, again, photographer problem, but we're on an action figure episode, sorry, is that the hoods get all pointy and they don't quite look right. So I'm really into what they're doing, especially with that, with the robes now.
I don't know. I kind of like the newer robes. Like the one on Balin actually looked really good in the photos that I had done.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I think for me, it's more like the brown Jedi robe they continually
Yeah,
use.
that's
like that's where it's a
that's
little
fair
rough.
actually, because they probably just keep reusing the same one, honestly. But anyways, moving into our next one, we got our R2D2, and this comes with everything. It's got all of its the tool extenders as well as the jets that go on the legs, actually. So looks really nice. I mean, R2 is one that's hard to mess up, I think, because like it's been done so many times. But it is got all of his tools on there, which I think looks really cool. It'll make it really good for action figure photos as well. And then the jets there just look really, really awesome as well.
The jets are cool. I mean, I have the Return of the Jedi one with everything else. So for me, it's a little bit of a pass just because the boosters aren't worth the money for me, but it's an awesome figure.
I think for me, this will be one I'll definitely get just because of I don't have an open droid right now that I use for photos, and like all the stuff that it comes with for like his tools and stuff, it'd make really good to do some of the to do some of those photos and stuff like that, honestly. So
I was thinking when they showed this, it was like, meh, no biggie. You know, they talked a little bit about some of the updates that were made preferably, and I think this is the 7th solo R2 release we've had in the Black Series. Okay. And I was just stunned that you cannot get a R2 at retail, despite the fact that we have had 6 releases of him.
Yeah, he's an expensive one.
Yeah, it's funny too, because if you think about them trying to figure out how to get the background characters and what's important to people, it's almost like we say they're getting more choiceful with who they pick. I'm so excited for Andor figures. Remember how easy it was to get those? And they were so discounted that, we'll see. But I think that after this year with the stuff that we know is in production, I think it'll be a more meaningful, mindful way of doing this, because they can look back at past sales data and see who sells and who doesn't.
Yeah. I certainly hope so. I mean, the brand manager in me definitely thinks like that.
I agree.
So.
Yeah, same. Well, yeah.
Well, now that we're closing out on all these awesome releases today, we're going to get to the final piece of today's show.
Eric, before we jump off, can we talk about one more thing that kind of went unannounced, but I think we have some ideas on what it is.
Let's hear it.
They said there's going to be a 4th figure at Walmart Con in this line.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Did you guys catch that?
No, I didn't. But if it's Obi-Wan and I have to go through the brutal process of getting a figure from Walmart, like an updated ROTS Obi-Wan, you guys are going to hear some real spew from me about that.
So I think this can go in a number of ways, but I'm thinking it's either going to be Obi-Wan or Anakin.
I feel like it's got to be
I'll
one
buy
of
them.
those.
I'll buy them if I have to get them on eBay. Yeah.
Well, and I think from the leaked images, there's leaked images of parts from Obi-Wan, from Avengers, parts from Anakin, and I think parts from a new Palpatine. That's the other thing that I forgot that.
Yeah.
And so is that going to be Palpatine before he gets all crispy?
I think
It would
it is
have
based
to.
on one of the heads that leaked.
I think it'd have to be because like
think
we
we got
just got that other Palpatine recently.
Remember, Toy Fair is this weekend, so there's going to be potentially more Andor figures. I think, mentioned there. Like, I think we're going to get a couple of surprise reveals on Saturday.
That would be
fun.
great.
Yeah, actually, they mentioned watch out for some surprises. So
Awesome.
we still got some cooking to do this week, guys.
I know, guys. Our thread is going to be electric on Instagram between all of us.
Dude,
and
no
DMs.
right.
right?
I still got to go post
Right?
up all of
So-
these photos I just showed of these action figures. So.
Roberto, do you remember? Like, I think we shared some hypotheses and leaks when Cody came out originally, was announced, and I can't remember what it was, but we had a pretty good idea of who else was coming. We might want to come back to that at some
This will
point.
be we'll do a
and-
revisit episode.
There you go.
You know
Come
what?
to that.
Next time we do a wish list episode, we'll have you guys on. That's always fun because mine changes. Stuff keeps coming out.
Especially because
so
you guys did a
I think we
post
can do
for
that
that
in the future,
recently.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
well, to polish out today's episode, we also got the announcement of the Revenge of the well, we knew Revenge of the Sith was getting its anniversary in its theaters, but we got the official date coming out, which was April 25th, which I think is right in line with what it did when Return of the Jedi came out. Like, it didn't come out on May 4th. It was like a week or two prior. And we got the sick new we got a guest host, Hal 9000, joining us.
He's back. He goes by the end of every episode. He needs like 5 minutes in my lap. So sorry,
No,
our listeners. He's the podcast mascot.
yeah, you're good. But yeah, so we got the sick new movie poster from it as well. And honestly, like, dude, I gotta get this for my son's room. Like, this looks awesome.
Mhm.
So
It was
April
amazing.
25th coming back into theaters. I already hit up my homie down here, and like, I was like, yo, take the day off. We're going. I don't care what you have to do. Just take the day off.
I'm gonna be traveling abroad and not be able to go, and I'm so
Oh,
bummed.
no.
Yeah,
Are you gonna be back for May 4th? Is the
I'm
question.
excited. I'm coming back from.
working on that.
We'll figure it out. What were you saying, Dan?
I'm coming back from Vegas on that
okay.
day. Feel like it's from one great place to another great movie.
Yeah.
So looking forward
Jackpot.
to it.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah, we've known this was gonna get re-released for a hot minute now. It's just gonna be reliving it all over again, man. I still remember 2005 being in theaters when this released, and I am gonna be just as excited as I was back then. Yeah, just can't wait, honestly. So, and I'll stop sharing that now. But yeah, guys. So, the last little piece that we're gonna do today, if you give me just a second here. Before we go, I got to shout out to my Saber company, my guys over at SaberMax. And they got some new stuff coming to hit the line here pretty soon. I don't have the link to it just yet, but you got to check it out. Should be up next week. But in the meantime, we do have another great one. And this goes into the gaming stuff we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. And it is this boy right here, the Outcast, which is the Kyle Katarn Saber.
Nice.
Super, super crisp in my opinion. That chrome just looks fantastic. This is a newer one on their website. It's been up for a little bit, but not too long. And it just looks really, really nice. Like I think we were talking about during the video game episode. I fell in love with Kyle's character during the Dark Forces 2 game. And I went back and watched the cutscenes recently, and it was just so good, honestly. So, but
And I would be remiss if I didn't say the homage to it. I'll put it on camera here with my Cassian figure, my custom one, the Briar pistol. Also, if you can get one on Etsy and you got this lightsaber, there's a nice nod to it in Andor with the Death Star plans. But guys, getting this lightsaber and a Briar pistol, your cosplay now it's just about a white long sleeve shirt and blue pants.
Seriously.
It's ready for you.
There you go.
definitely is, man. So, but yeah, looks great. Comes in baselit, Profi, baselit, Neopixel, and Profi. So now let me stop that. All right, guys. So that wraps it up for today. So we want to say thanks to our friends from Star Wars Toy Collector, Dan and Roberto, for joining us, and for everybody listening and watching. Where can they find you guys at?
We are easy to find. We are the Star Wars Toy Collector on Facebook and on Instagram.
Perfect, man. And I know you got all the new photos and stuff up from the new action figures today as well, so you can check those out on their site as well as our site. Check us out on Instagram at Sith Happens _Star Wars podcast, which has the link tree to all of our links, including our YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music. Please go like and subscribe so we can quit our day jobs and do this for the rest of our lives. So Dan and Roberto, my friends, why don't you give us a sign off here? Say goodbye to all the folks listening and watching.
All right, good night. May the force be with you all.
Hi guys, it's always a blast. Hope everyone had something they loved in the reveals today, and yeah, may the force be with you.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. It is always my favorite episodes are action figure episodes. I mean, I love all of our episodes, but I love the action figure episodes. Those are the what ifs, and just having you guys on. And we knew when we got all this news, we were like, we got to message them. And unfortunately, our boy Ant can't join tonight. Shout out to our boy I am not a committee, the third host. Sure, he's bummed he's missing it and watching it live. But with that said, just thank you guys. Talking action figures is amazing. And as far as what everybody's talking about with Hasbro and the line, I'll just, my closeout will be like, just, have hope. Rebellions are built on hope. And, we'll get something regardless of the change. The toys aren't going away. Maybe it's, wherever it lands, but I'm sure we'll still be talking about them for years to come.
Absolutely, man. Everybody listening and watching, just want to say thanks again for joining us. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us for another week. Next week is actually going to be a very special week because it is our 50th episode, actually. Yeah, so pretty fun, pretty exciting. Looking forward to that one. But we'll catch you guys then. Eric the Dadalorian signing off. This is the way.